welcome. Raise Your Game today. I am David Levin. This is our Friday episode, so we are talking all things inner game. Tuesdays are for sports and sports parenting. Fridays are for everything and everyone. And again, the big mission of this pod and the community is that being our better selves is hard work, and really just incredibly hard, especially in today's world. But it's also the most important work we can do, really, in every way. So this space is meant to support and encourage you to keep doing it. It's a place you can come to connect and recharge so you can get back out there and keep up the good work of being your best. So that's it. So, how are you today? How are things with your inner game? You feeling good? Feeling stressed, worried? What's going on in there? For me, I will say pretty good. The main thing is my cold seems to finally be done. It was one of those things where you get to the point where you honestly wonder, will this ever end? Of course it will. It makes no sense to ask the question. But you really do start to wonder. I have this theory, by the way, that our active memory includes about 2 weeks. Meaning, if someone asks you how things are going, your answer is based on the last 2 weeks. If something has been a problem for that long, you'll say it's been forever. I don't remember things not being like this. I can't remember when I wasn't tired like this. And my cold example supports that. Even though it makes no sense, when the symptoms continue past that 2-week mark, my big brain starts to think maybe it's just going forever. Anyway, it's a theory. But the cold is gone now, and that's great. It really is amazing to observe how different you can feel when you're healthy. How many different ways you feel stronger and more positive and capable. It's great. Anyway, that's the big thing for me. The cold is pretty much gone, feeling back to my normal self. With that in mind, all is good. Oh, I mentioned last week the webinar that was about to happen. That went great. It was fun. My part went well enough. We have a new program launching this week, our group coaching option for the first time, which is great because it gives more kids a chance to take the training. I'm excited about that. But of course, also a little nervous to see how it goes, what the interest is like. But overall, things pretty good. Thank you. I hope that's true for you as well. So we have some good things to talk about today, my ups and downs for the week, personal responsibility, and especially in the context of what to do when you're in a bad mood, the news, and how sometimes we don't actually want to talk about it. The role of duty in creative work, that's an interesting perspective on that. We'll talk about heart health and some recommendations there. We have a nice, easy challenge this week and an update on some recommended items. So I'll start with my ups and downs. What things were lifting me up this past week and what things were pulling me down, making life harder. In the ups column for me this week, one was really fun. Peter, our son, as I mentioned, is working on his senior project at high school, finishing up at high school. Part of that is a short video he wanted to put together. When we last worked on a project for his college applications, it got a little heated, a little tense there. This one was just a joy that went better than expected, and we were both just tickled by it. It was fun, really fun. Another was our daughter, Frances. She had a cello performance this week for our local solo and ensemble program. So driving there, on the way there, she said, I hope our piece doesn't really qualify for state. I don't really want to go. Sounds like too much work, which was fine. But then when she actually learned, they played very well. When she learned that they had qualified for state, she was psyched. Yay! Excited to go. I was super happy for her, but that was funny. And we all got a kick out of that too. Also, Frances got her first job this week, working at a local restaurant. Going to be washing dishes and chopping carrots for a bit. And it'll be interesting to see how she likes all of that, but still very exciting and new. And she's excited about it. And I was impressed with her initiative and making it happen. All great there. And of course, my cold is gone. In the downs, we're at that point in the college process where Peter's application is coming back and he's not getting into all the schools he applied to. Of course he's not. We knew he wouldn't. You never do. But it's still hard to get rejected, even when it's a school you didn't really want to get into in the first place, you know. To have them say, We're sorry. You're not good enough for us. We don't want you. And when you work so hard for it, in some cases, it's just hard. I feel bad for him. I mean, he's doing great with it, but it's heavy, I think. And the biggest schools, the ones he most wants to get into, the ones he killed himself working on his portfolio for, and also the hardest to get into in general, are still announcing later this week. So there's a lot of anxiety around that. Like literally every day, I spend a little bit of time with that weight. What's going to happen? Are they all going to say no? What's that going to be like for him? And of course, chances are they will say no, and we're preparing for that. But it's just hard. And again, it's a classic down because it's sort of clouding everything, right? There's this stress and anxiety load that's always there. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we need to be aware of. It helps to be aware of so it doesn't get in the way of being the person we want to be. So anyway, that's my ups and downs for this week. Pretty much all about the kids. Next up, our quote of the week. All right, our quote of the week. This week we'll hear from Martha Graham, the great American dancer and choreographer from the 20th century. I think we've heard from Martha before. She has a longer quote that I go back to over and over. It's part of my Inner Game Gold series. I just love it so much. It's a great piece of clarity and inspiration. But this one's pretty great too. So Martha's quote for this week is, "Misery is a communicable disease." Misery is a communicable disease. And this just speaks to a whole bunch of important ideas in my mind. But the main one for me is responsibility to others. Being a responsible adult and taking ownership for the effect we have on others. This seems about as close to a fundamental principle as there could be. The mark of adulthood is personal responsibility. You understand the impact your actions have on others, and you own it. Full stop. If you don't do that, you are simply not welcome in polite adult society. I just don't see any other way to see that. So this quote then says, when you're in a funk, as we all are from time to time, when you're feeling miserable, it is very easy for that to spread to others. It's a communicable disease, and we need to be mindful of that. It is not okay to infect those around us with our nasty mood. It's rude and inconsiderate and selfish and childish, and we are better than that, right? We are. With all the stress in the world today, we don't want to be adding to the problem and bringing down the people in our lives by spreading our own communicable misery disease to them, right? We don't want to be that person. And it's hard sometimes. I totally get that. I love complaining as much as the next person. But I think it's important to remember that it's not the person we want to be. One of my favorite reasons to raise your inner game, to do the work that we talk about, is that it helps us keep from doing that. So that's our quote of the week. Misery is a communicable disease. As tempting as it might be when we're in a funk, let's rise above that and keep it to ourselves, okay? All right, think about that, and we'll move on to top stories. All right, top stories. This week, my top story is that I don't have anything I want to talk about. There's a new school shooting in Nashville. I don't have anything to add to that. It's unimaginable to be there and deal with something like that. Just unimaginable. Also unimaginable that our country seems to be okay with it. But I really don't want to talk about it any more than that. There's Trump getting more and more overt in his calls to violence and authoritarianism. I'm running out of words to say about him and his followers, and again, our country that makes it all possible. I just don't want to give any more bandwidth to either of them right now. The Tolstoy scale, whether something is good for humanity, excuse me, Jesus, could these be much worse? I don't see how. I don't understand how anyone can be for any of this, no matter how you look at it. But the idea itself, again, in the Tolstoy quote, our sole purpose in life is to serve humanity. That's the quote from Leo Tolstoy that I reference in this Our sole purpose in life is to serve humanity. That's not just an inspirational idea or a call to action to me. It's actually an accurate statement of our purpose as individuals in our lives. People are always looking for meaning and purpose in their lives, and for good reason. And when you drill down and think through how little any of us actually matter in the big picture, this is what you're left with. We matter ultimately pretty much only to the people in our lives, but we matter a lot to them. So our actual purpose is to make their lives better for our having been in them. If we do that, if we get to the end of our lives and the people we care about genuinely miss us and appreciate the impact we had in their lives, that's as good as it gets. That is the best any of us can do, and basically all we should strive to do. That's it. That is our actual purpose. Now, his quote, to serve humanity, sounds more grand than that, serving all of humanity. Somehow, I don't believe he really meant that, because so few of us are ever in a position to do that. I think he meant serving the humanity around us, the people in our lives, and what's good for people in general. And of course, you can make the case that by fully taking on this fundamental responsibility to the people in our lives, we're also doing that for all of humanity. We're certainly not doing anything opposed to that. When we are a good person to those around us, we are a good person to the world. But all these impulses, these angry, selfish, violent, greedy, ego and fear-based impulses are opposed to that. They serve no one but themselves. And even then, it's a broken vision of themselves. The people who act on these impulses, that do these things, they're not happy. They're not making themselves happier. They're not fulfilled. And they're not serving anyone. Anyway, that's my top story for this week. Nothing I really want to talk about. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to give it more oxygen. Though I guess I did a little bit anyway. I just don't. Anyway, not this week. So there you have it. Next up, Inner Game Gold. All right, Inner Game Gold. Again, these are the ideas and concepts I come back to over and over again to help me stay on track. Last episode, we talked again about Ultra Gold Zen saying, be master of mind rather than mastered by mind. Best single inner game statement ever. This week, since I mentioned Martha Graham earlier, I thought we would revisit the quote of hers I referenced there. It's a bit longer, but it's well worth it. It's great. So here it goes. There is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there's only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, and to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There's no satisfaction whatever at any time. There's only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than the others. Oh my goodness, what a statement there is. What a lot there is in there. And I really just could not love it more. It does sound like it's speaking mostly to creatives, and maybe that's part of why I love it so much. I especially love her basically calling us out for whining about whether it's any good or even if we believe in it. It's such a great statement. We owe it to each other to allow our full selves to come into the world. It's an interesting take on my earlier comments about responsibility and being an adult. She says that includes doing your work, whatever that is. The responsible path is to do it. Be yourself. Put it into the world. I love it. So that's our Inner Game Gold for the week. I'm not sure I've ever had the same person be in both segments, the quote and the gold, but I love it. All right, Martha Graham, Genius Perspective. Next up, Raise your outer game. Raise your outer game, where we talk about the things we care about in our outer life, our health, our relationships, our finances. And this week, we're going to talk about our health and specifically about heart health. So this is for the older members of our audience, I suppose, or those who have older relatives. But we're talking about heart health this week because it was 1 year ago next week that I had my heart stent placed, and I think it would be a good time to just check in and see how that's going and talk about some of that. So a little over a year ago, if you don't know the story, I was out for a run, looking to get back in shape. It was a cold, sunny day, and about 10 minutes in, I got this pain in my chest. My goodness, that hurts. What is that? I don't recognize that feeling. Excuse me, it must just be out of shape and this cold air. All right, I'll just walk it off. No big thing. Next day, another run. Same exact thing at the same time. 10 minutes in, heart pain. Oh my goodness, that actually hurts. So I made an appointment for a stress test. And long story short, 90% blockage in one of my coronary arteries. Had a heart procedure, put in a stent. Of course, started out on several meds. At the same time, there was a bit of transition period. I could actually feel the stent. There was a sort of a heartburny feeling now and then, and for a couple of months after. Oh, I also started cardiac rehab right away too, which lasted for several months, like 3 times a week, I think. I would go in for, at least what started out as a very light workout, just slowly building up abilities and effort loads and monitoring my heart. So one really great thing, and this is my first recommendation, by the way, is that I didn't actually have a heart attack. The stress test caught it before then, so my recovery was great. There was never any damage, nothing to worry about going forward. My capacity now is greater than it's been for years, and that wouldn't have been true had we not caught it earlier. So if you have a history of heart disease, my dad had high blood pressure and heart disease. If you have some of the indicators, you're really overweight, high cholesterol, again, maybe high blood pressure. If you are getting more fatigued with activity, this is a big thing for me. And I didn't see it because I assumed it was just me getting older. But the distance I could run without getting too winded was getting shorter and shorter. And it seemed weird, but again, I just thought, I'm getting older. So anyway, those things, heart disease history, concerning heart health lifestyle, diet, weight, etc., easily fatigued, talk to your doctor, get a stress test. You do not want to have a heart attack, right? If you can catch it before, it'll really improve things in a big, like, rest of your life kind of way. So like I said, I'm in better shape now than I've been in maybe 20 years. I'm running better, stronger. I've been going to the gym. I'm off 2 of the meds, maybe 3, I'm not sure, remember. Anyway, that's the big message. 1 year later, things are great. Strongly recommend a stress test if you have any reason to think you might be at risk, or of course, if you know someone who might be. A good friend of mine heard my message. We spoke. He had a family history, took the test, all good. Great peace of mind from that. And if it hadn't been good, even better peace of mind, knowing you caught it early. So there you go. My N of 1 unprofessional advice, just from my personal experience. Raise your outer game for this week. Get a stress test if you have any good reason, or even a somewhat good reason to do it. All right, next up, our charging station challenge. Okay, last week we had to do something a little different. We had to, it was the Resist a Bad Habit challenge. It's one of the hardest things to do. Hopefully that went well for you. Resisting a bad a bad habit can be a lot of work. I talk about this in the book, but there's an almost magical power in getting control of a bad habit that you can only really experience when you're doing it. So I hope you felt that. I hope you tried it out. It can give you an amazing lift. So that was that. This week, I think we'll do something nice and pleasant and easy. How about this? Let's take a 10-minute indoor walk every day for the week. If the weather is bad, dress for it if you can. Some of my favorite walks are when the weather's nasty and I get bundled up and go at it anyway. But one way or another, that's our challenge this week. Nice and easy. Once a day, 10-minute outdoor walk. You can do it. You can always do it. And you'll love it. And of course, as always, let us know how it's going. with a post in the community. If you're not in the community yet, click the link in the notes. It's free. Just register. You can go straight to the challenge. Love to have you join us. And that's it for the Charging Station challenge this week. Next up, highly recommended. This is things I'm crazy about right now. Books, shows, gadgets, things I love and recommend this week. I don't have anything new, just some updates on things I've mentioned earlier. The Mandalorian, Disney Plus. Haven't actually started that. I forgot. We sat down to start it, but ended up going back to last season to make sure we were all caught up and had everything. So never mind on that one. Still a great show. Can't really say if the new season is. Ted Lasso. Big one there, of course. Started that, as I said, a little nervous going in if it would still be good. First episode felt a little bit forced, to be honest. Second one was better, and that's as far as we are. So far, so good with that. The Windsor Knot book I mentioned with the Queen of England trying to solve a murder. That's really lovely and fun. I'm enjoying that. Breakpoint, the tennis documentary on Netflix. Still loving that, man. Actually breaks my heart a little, to be honest, because the struggles, the mental game struggles those elite athletes are dealing with are so huge for them. But they're also the same exact struggles I'm seeing with the kids I work with and seeing them totally overcome them. Confidence, resilience, mental focus. They're the same struggles, but the cost at that level is so much higher. It just hurts me that I can't get in there and help them. But that's, how's that going to happen? At least at this point with things. So hopefully over time, word will spread. We'll get there. But still loving the show. So that's great. And that's it for this week. Nothing really new. Sorry, but how many shows and books and whatever can you really get into every single week? So a couple of updates. All is well. And that's it for today's episode. If you like what you heard, thank you. By the way, I'm happy about that. But please do tell your friends. Invite them to join us and rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people find the show, get the mental game boost we all need. If you have teenagers in sports, my goodness, check out our mental game starter kit. It's a great set of resources to get you started on the path of helping your child boost their mental game. By the way, we have a special new option going on right now. I think I mentioned it earlier. It is the group coaching. It's a great opportunity to get a kid to get the training they want at a much reduced price. So check that out. All of this is raiseyourinnergame.com. There's a special event banner there. Button you can click for the starter kit. Scroll to the bottom. You can register for that and register there, and all that's free. If you would like to support the show so we can keep things ad-free, please click the Buy Me a Coffee link below, and thank you for that. For more mental game goodness, please join our free community, the Raise Your Inner Game Charging Station. As we said, that's the place to recharge so you can get back out there. Keep doing the good work. Click the link here or go to raiseyourinnergame.com/community. Also free, and you'll love it. Also, if you're listening to this on audio, but you like video, we post all our episodes on our YouTube channel. There's a link to that in the show notes. And finally, we will close with Leo Tolstoy again from the Raise Your Inner Game book. The ultimate purpose in life is to serve humanity. That's what we're doing. We're serving the people in our lives, serving ourselves. It's super important. So keep up the good work, and we'll see you next time.